The way I like to see Pos 5 Warlock at the moment, and I do agree with your points, John, it doesn't feel like a support that can help you climb back from a deficit, right? Like, if you're too far behind with Warlock, it seems pretty rough. Because as a Pos 5, as a Warlock, you can't do anything. Like, your job, Fatal Bonds, Golem, maybe a bit of upheaval, maybe a bit of healing, but it's one of those heroes where if you're playing way too far behind, it feels so useless. But if you're playing on even terms, it seems completely busted. So I'm looking forward to see what Neon can get done with this. I do like the fact that they go into the clockwork as well. So yeah, a very strong support right now, though, to be absolutely fair, I don't see it really countering anything that MIPH has picked up so far. Just seems to be a bit of a comfort pick here from Neon Esports. MIPH, see how they want to try and respond to this. And it will be quite fun. Like, you've got a nice little combo already with the Warlock DP, right? Like Spirit Siphons with Fatal Bonds and the Exorcism. It's a hell of a lot of damage being split up between everyone. Oh, even that upheaval you love to talk to me about, Jonathan. Very effective when you've got a hero like the DP on your side of things.
Yeah, I was thinking more of upheaval and cogs. I think that's an easy way to just ensure that even if they force staff out, you can't run. So you still have a good way of just keeping them in. Line them up for all of your spells here from Neon. I still want to see a stronger combination with a Warlock on the safe lane. Still a couple of options. I feel like Jug's one of the better ones in meta. Off meta, Spectre is actually one of the best Warlock combinations, simply because you can't bully the Spectre out, and the Warlock just heals her up. You can kind of secure that early to at least that laning phase for the Spectre and kind of allow her to build into her first item.
Ooh.
And we'll see what the idea is from Neon as MIPH do go into the sky and Treant. So you've got a DK combination on hand with Blink, Dragon Tail, and Mystic Flare. You've got great teamfight control with the Treant Protector to kind of help you out with the overgrowth. And you can prevent a little bit of that strong push the DP wants to bring out with Living Armor. So it's a great solution to that. But Neon kind of doubled down on that strong push with the Terrorblade. Terrorblade Warlock lane, very sustainable for the Terrorblade. Of course, you can just keep healing him up. And it kind of feels good because Terrorblade doesn't have the highest HP pool. So every Shadow Word you throw out just feels a lot more value in keeping him pretty high up. And we'll just have to see how well they can manage that lane. But TB plus DP, really good push on hand. You just need maybe even just a Yasha on the Terrorblade. You can start to show up towards mid and pressure with the DP and the rest of your team. And Living Armor is probably not going to be enough to stop that.
Yeah, I really do like it's classic, right? Like DPTB is something you and I used to almost groan about when we saw in the drafts, because what was it, like a few years ago? This was the combo that came out every single game. And it is true, like even against a Treant Protector, it's very hard to protect those towers now because you've got so much damn push going on. Or even with the Golem on top of that later on, it's going to be quite annoying to try and deal with this kind of push. And speaking of the Treant Protector, Jonathan, may I just add, when the initial changes happened with Living Armor, where instead of being a higher heal, it turned out to be like heaps of bonus armor, at first I thought it wasn't a great change for Treant. And then I started seeing it in pro games. And then I'm like, holy crap, this, like, you actually can't delete towers when Living Armor's on it. With DP and TB in the game, it's a different story, right? But let's say you have a normal draft, or you haven't got the greatest pushing style of hero. It's impossible to get through that bonus armor.
Yeah, it takes a lot of commitment. You really have to throw your body for it to clear it out. So it does a great job in just, delaying the game, delaying the objectives. You still have great wave clear with Nature's Grasp. So it does force you to draft in a certain way, or at least kind of respect what the Treant does. Like we've seen multiple teams go for a push, Living Armor's up, they back off. Yeah. And off of one hero. No one else even shows up. Maybe just one other hero shows up to threaten. And then they're like, all right, we can't do this anymore. MIPH tie it up with the Sand King. And now some of that flex kicks in. That could still be our Rupido hero. That could also be JG's mid Sand King. So you have an option here for MIPH to kind of switch things around. I would prefer Rupido on the Sand King, just because he is that flashy offlane player. He loves to play his initiation heroes for the team. I think you have a great combination on hand with the Sand King already, just to have that snowball start from the off. If you do go to DK versus Terrorblade lane, you can kind of make it work. There's a lot of value in Breed Fire, so you slow down the Terrorblade just a tad, and there's not too much magic damage, so the DK can kind of survive through once he does have level 2 Dragon Blood. But it's also a much more passive lane that the Terrorblade can still play around. So the Sand King gives you a little bit more activity on the off lane, does allow you to contest Bell a little bit more here.
Okay. Well, final pick up here from Neon Esports. They'll go for the Timber last pick, interestingly enough. Because it's a nice way of dealing with the Sand King, the DK, and obviously the Chakram very effective against the TA, just burning through those refraction charges. I don't know, John. I mean, I look at MIPH's draft. I think it's a bit more well-rounded. I really like the last pick Sand King as well, because it kind of annoys the crap out of the TB. Especially once you hit that, not necessarily the level 6 mark, but once you have the Blink up, the Epicenter, the Burrow Strike combination. It's very painful for this Terrorblade, and well, of course, you've even got a Skywrath Mage there for that added kind of magic damage against the TB and the Timber. Then again, Neon Esports have gone for a classic style of draft, which can prove to be very potent. I think the one thing I don't like about Neon Esports draft is I feel like they're lacking stuns here, John. Like, you've got one Clockwork stun. Well, to be fair, two. You've got Battery Assault, you've got Hookshot, and then you've got Golem Drop. That's it.
Yeah, and you know, when you have these Warlock games where your other support doesn't have the best control, it can feel like these kills can slip away for you. Whereas for MIPH, you could maybe argue the same Burrow Strike, Dragon Tail, but that already feels a lot better. It's two stuns that aren't on massive cooldowns. You have Overgrowth for wider AoE control, kind of replicating what you'd want to do with the Warlock and the Golem. So I think it's back to your point there, Mike. MIPH does have a more well-rounded draft. I think Neon has to play to their tempo. They have to recognize some of these early item pickups that Bell might be able to pick, like, say, the early Yasha. That alone should lead you to clump up towards mid, try to get that tier 1, open up the map more so your Terrorblade can start to build up and you can start to contest Ken's farm. Because if it's just a static sort of TB farms and TA farms, I mean, yeah, the TB still feels really good against a TA, but considering all the tools MIPH has around to catch that Terrorblade, it can be a tough game.
It certainly can, John. We are going to go into game number 1 here between MIPH and Neon Esports and see how things do go. John, I know you've kind of already explained both drafts, but for the sake of my dumbass, can you tell me who that has the better draft in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Mike. MIPH has the draft that can really play into their style. They get some comfort picks here. JG on the DK again. We've seen him perform this hero all the time. It's one of those things that it's a very stable laner. You don't necessarily win or lose, but you always get your item timings. Blink's going to be big here. For MIPH, they have better stuns. They have combinations to play for this Mystic Flare coming out. And for Neon, it does feel a bit all in on tempo. They need to play around with the early items of Bell, try to take that mid-tier 1 fast, and then try to get that build-up you want on the Terrorblade while also contesting the TA's farm. Easier said than done. And Ryu, I feel like a lot of that momentum will also have to come off that Timber Saw on the off lane. They have to be able to find a way to make that lane a lot tougher for Ken than it should be. So we'll see how much Enry can get done. They are already cutting the tree line down bot here, Mike. You know, I love seeing this again. Every time you're up against Tree and Protector, just cutting that tree line does make that lane a little bit more manageable.
And it's also Timbersaw's favorite thing to do, Jonathan. Keeping up with the law here in Ryu. Very, very good to see those trees being cut up. By the way, John, we did have a look at the 1-in-8 bet odds right then, and MIPH, they do seem to be the favorites, not by too much. I believe it was 1.67 to 2.5 something in favor of MIPH, so betting odds are going the way of this Radiant team, but we'll see how the game actually plays out. Again, I would agree the draft is somewhat better on MIPH, but it's going to be all about gameplay here, and Neon Esports, they may be struggling recently, John, but I still have faith this is a very good team. Just got to kind of get it together and kind of sort out the coordination. And after all, Jonathan, they have a TI winner in Chuan on this Clockwork.
Yeah, that they do. And Chuan is laning up with Enryu, of course, on that pause 4 o'clock. Now, the one fun thing about this lane, you know, going outside of lane mechanics and all of that, it's two heroes of the same, what do you call this? Same demographic, right? They're both keen. Yeah, they're both keen heroes, right? Keen people. So it's a rarity, and it's both mechanical. You know, this is like what is this? Underlords kind of gameplay right now.
Yep. Whatever that game is, John. Yeah, I don't even know if it exists anymore, but yeah, you are correct. They are the mechs or whatever they call it. It is a very rare kind of demographic to have here in the bot lane, but why the hell not? We're in one of those kind of patches. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily strong, right? Like, as the clock, I think you still have a decent time against the Tree and Protector. Once you have Battery Assault Cogs up, especially up at level 3, then you can make the Train Snipe a bit of a living hell, but it feels like MIPH, they should still be just fine to trade farm here.
Yeah, Ken's not going to be threatened by Enryu. Cutting that tree line also makes it tough for Enryu to kind of play with Whirling Death in lane. And, looking for those Timber Chains across onto the TA while she's farming is a lot harder to do. So, overall, you're still happy as long as Ken farms. Your win condition's building up. And as we mentioned, Ken does love his TA. When he gets a good start, he does build up quite fast.
We are going to have a classic SCA pause coming out here for game 1 of this best of 3. But we may as well have a look at the other lanes as we have not looked at them yet. Of course, Avatar mode against JG in the mid lane. DP versus DK, Jonathan. I know you don't really want to say much about this, but what are you thinking? Who has the advantage and how should this mid lane go?
I'd say the DP has a slight advantage. It's a little bit easier to get harassment and wave clear off for the DP in comparison to DK, but it's not an overwhelming win. JG by level 3, value point in Dragon Blood, another point in Dragon Blood, then by level 4 with a Dragon Tail threat. You can kind of hold the lane. Spirit Siphon will allow Avatar mode to kind of sustain as well, so it's not a major kill threat. It's about a race to 6 here, Mike, so whoever hits level 6 first will be able to apply some of that soft pressure onto the tier 1, and it kind of boils down to whether or not the teams start to play around those level 6s early on to find that mid-tier 1 faster than the opposing side.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at the last lane, John. Top lane, Bell and SC are going to be against Rupido and, of course, Lucify. Still can't ever forget the days, John, we used to pronounce it Rupido here for the Sanking, but how do you think this top lane goes? Like, Bell, you kind of said it in draft. Should have an easy enough time, but anything else we should look out for?
Not much. Like, Rupido is going for the standard Burrow Strike Sandstorm build. He's not going for the Caustic, not threatening Bell really when it comes in for the creep wave. There is a lot of magic damage you can let out here though, especially with something like the Skywrath Mage, but you don't really have a clean angle to do so. And now that the Bell does have that Metamorphosis, it just becomes a very manageable lane. For C, you can't really use Fatal Bonds all too well here. I mean, I guess the damage coming through from the Terrorblade is still nice on the right clicks, but you don't have that combination where you're spreading a lot of damage out. It's not like the safe lane Tiny, where that potential can really shine, or even a Jug with a spin. So the kill threat onto Rupido isn't that big as well, but you do feel like this is a winning lane for Neon. You just sustain true in the TV, farm up, and you are seeing Bell get a lot more from his lane. At the very least, kind of the same amount that Ken is getting down bot, so it looks like both sides are just having a rough time with the off lanes here.
Yeah, I mean, poor Lucify, he's wasted all his tangos already, John. It's one Fatal Bonds, he just had to keep tangoing up because he was taking way too much damage out of it. I do see Lucify actually rotate into the mid lane now, but just to get the bounty rune, the Dire Jungle, just snipe that away. Able to take it no problem. Even stacks up the triangle while he's there, so very nice little play here from Lucify. As bot lane, there was a bit of a chase going on here. Ken, not going to try too hard. He is just playing TA after all. But speaking of Ken, John, he's having a very good laning stage here on the TA. No real pressure being applied. Not too much the Timber can do right now until you hit that level 6 mark. And even then, it can be a little bit rough. But never mind, Ken, he's out of position. Not a good position to be in here for the TA as the cogs are going to come out. They will try to help with Teehee. And in fact, Ken might still get out of there. Excuse me, and does. Actually surviving that. That's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, it feels like the cog pushback helped slightly, increasing that gap between two melee heroes, and then just walks into tower. Not far enough to really kill off. Chuan Assault is still at level 2, no level 2 battery assault to threaten with at level 3, so the damage output isn't quite enough, and Ken just goes back to farming. This is actually pretty concerning. The Treant Protector is far away and you can't even find a kill.
Yes, say, oh, he's gonna get it. Rupido, I think he just, does he tick out here, John? Almost. He's eating a tango. He's gonna be okay, but it's rough. 40 HP.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. I thought he'd just stick back in the T1, recover a little bit more, but it's gonna be fine. Ferry's out to salve, but you are again seeing how strong Neon's sustain lane is. There's just no threat from the Sand King. The combination with Sky can be nice, but it's not the strongest lane for Lucify to play along with either. And giving this kind of start for Bell is concerning.
We couldn't get in range that time for the Shadow Word, John, but now with the Fatal Bonds out, it's so rough, right? Because even if you bring a salve out, you can't use it until the Fatal Bonds is gone. So Rupido's just kind of stuck not farming.
Yeah, he's just forced to regen, step away from the creep wave, not even getting EXP. Really good plays coming out from Sed, just cutting off Rupido from getting anything in this lane. Slower start for the Sand King, and it kind of goes back. You need a bit of a stronger start. That blink timing is important here.
Maybe they could punish Say a little bit, but Rupido again, just in trouble, is now going to be able to salve up. So we'll have a bit of a reset going, but it is really the strength of the Warlock right now. Just, oh, he even cancels the salve. Rupido, he's going to try and at least get the kill now, and may do so. In fact, it's Lucify who takes it. Rupido will tick out, and now Lucify is in big trouble. Bell will just chase him down. A couple more clicks to do it. One more from Bell, and he'll find it, no problem. And this off lane for MIPH is an absolute disaster right now.
It's not able to do much. You kind of just want to soak here as the Sky almost. Try to hit your level 6, play with the combinations you have with your great single target disables into the Mystic Flare. Still a long ways off for Lucify, and even down mid, they're starting to rotate onto JG. Unfortunate pause timing here, as Chuan does show in the creep wave,
Wonderful.
so they're going to be able to react, and the tips are out. Well timed.
Wonderful indeed. Does it just me, or does that voice line sound like KP? That wonderful voice line.
It does sound, but I was trying to think if that's Rob.
Right.
If
Oh,
it's
it
Mr.
could be.
CEO. I think it is. I think most of them are. I'm like, this doesn't sound like any of the players. It must be Rob.
Could be.
Mr. CEO.
Could be indeed. Gotta get that Aussie accent going, Rob. Not good enough there, mate. Spoonful of Vegemite before you record the next voice line, sir. I mean, I'm joking, John. Vegemite, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, we saw this on Twitter the other day. I think it was Zach who tagged me in something from, was it Talon? They were eating Vegemite
somehow.
or some crap. And I was like, yeah, don't do that. It's not good.
Yeah, you know, I've never tried, Mike. I'm willing to try it once and then kind of sign it off.
You, John. I feel very sorry for you the day you tried. JG, mid lane in trouble. Siphons are out. Exorcism pop, but they can't get the cogs or get close enough to the battery assault. And now, MIPH, they're going to rotate over. This first Exorcism not really going to pan out for much. Maybe a bit of chip damage to come, but certainly nothing to write home about here from Neil.
Yeah, it's not quite that aggression, not quite the clump up you wanted around that first Exo. It's still pretty good in forcing a response out. That's 3 heroes mid from the side of MIPH, freeing up the side lanes more, giving a stronger start once more for Bell, and giving Onryu some room to breed on his Timbersaw. So you're kind of happy with that. Ken already forced into the jungle. Doesn't mind too much the TA. Does have great clear coming through already. But again, you're giving room for Onryu to just get what he wants. Level 6 up, Threat of Chakram can make short work with TA. They're rotating top though.
They are. Say, gonna move in again onto Rupido. Reflection out. Chuan can't get in range to get a battery assault off, so it's gonna have to wait it out a little bit as Lucify and Rupido both back themselves out. But I'd say you're pretty happy with the way this is going if you're Neon. Like, top 2 net worths right now are the TB and the Timber. And considering how this offlane's going, it's not like Rupido is going to be able to help out anytime soon. Like, he is really struggling with the Sand King. Has to rush the Blink Dagger. Luckily for him, stacks have been made, though he will be forced to take them rather than the DK or the TA. But it is certainly going to help the Sand King at least catch up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think you'd mind too much if you're MIPH right now. You do just want Rupido to be able to initiate for the team, start to make some plays. They do give a free kill to Onryu down bot. He's been chasing Kiki for a while. Does get the punishment off onto that tree because Timbersaw loves chopping trees, as you mentioned, Mike. He chops a big living tree this time, and he feels great. Free lane, build up into Foot of Defiance is real quick, and he has a free push down bot.
Very good indeed. Enryu, he'll just tank the tower very, very soon and let the creep wave do its job. No stopping Enryu right now. They are at least going to pop down the living armor, and it's kind of hellish for the Timbersaw, just doing no damage to the tower. It's kind of what I was talking about, John, just the amount of armor this gives. +6 armor at level 2. It's kind of ridiculous how hard it is to get through this tower now. Luckily for Enryu, he won't give up and he'll get it done eventually.
Yeah, not much to really save. It's a bit too low for the living armor to really stall, and Timbersaw can just keep cutting the Queef wave. Neon get a lot of space up top to get a move out. They are still clumping around, but they're constantly playing under vision. The word from MIPH giving a lot of value, so they know the movement's coming here.
Rupido gonna back off. Avatar, he does have the Exorcism back up again, and they really want to pick off the Sanking as Schwan now does move in. Rupido trapped up a little bit, but is gonna burn strike away. Instead, they'll just go after the top tier 1 tower. I think Neon, they realize how powerful they are right now, and well, even if the top tier 1 isn't worth that much, it's just worth taking it if you can. They've already got the bottom tier 1 anyway, and so that's exactly what they do. It's a nice free tower to be taken. They did try to push a little bit here from MIPH in the mid lane, but Avatar mode, he will TP back and defend, and well, this Dragon Knight, he gets a fair bit of damage off, but not quite enough to take down the tier 1 tower.
Not enough to take it down, but just a little bit more poking and prodding. It is still gonna fall. There's not much that Neon can really stop. Look at JG, he's confident with the illusions. He knows there's not much time left in the Exo, there's no kill threat on him, and Farah's gone.
It is. One, just a nice deny there from the Clockwork, but well, for MIPH, considering the state of the game right now, it's very worthwhile for them to get that mid-tier 1 tower early on. Nice sort of pick up there from JG, realizing the opening was there on the Dragon Knight, and well, not the greatest trade in the world for Neon, trading the mid-tier 1 for a top-tier 1, but you know, you'll take what you get right now as Enryu, he will take over the top lane and just force out the Skywrath already. At least for MIPH, it does seem like it's going to take quite a bit of time to try and work their way up towards the top tier 1. The very nice courier snipe there from Rupido, actually taking quite a lot off the timber.
Misses out on his neutral item now for more mana, no full wand coming out. So maybe a little bit more vulnerable. I say that, he does have the full hood of Defiance, so still pretty safe. Smoke moving out from Neon down bot here though.
Juan, hook shot, not being thrown out yet, still kind of pump faking as now he does go for it. On the TA, Ken, he's absolutely going to melt here. The Overgrowth is going to hold them down a little bit, but Ken, he's going to die to the Fatal Bonds. No escaping that. To say we'll take the kill on the Warlock, and well, that's a very important pick off here for Neon.
Yeah, nice take, nice quick little shadow word coming out from C as well. Ensure the kill does float your way, and the side of MIPH, the map's kind of shrinking. They can start to commit towards that mid now, and really just cutting that lane and feeding off Lucify. Not much the Sky can really do here.
Absolutely not. He does get the silence off. It's a Fairy Fire. It's not going to help the cause as Rupido. It does come in, but that's a Timber with a Hood of Defiance up. You are not getting through him right now. Zenryu very confidently just roaming through the mid lane, and even Chuan trying to set up onto Ken. In fact, he's the one being set up on, but is going to be fine to walk his way out. And instead, Neon will try to pressure the mid-tier 1 tower a little bit, but it seems like MIPH are ready to try and defend. With this blink up on Rupido, they'll make the jump in on the Timber. Enryu cannot chain away. Nice stun out. Ken will pick up the kill, and that's some nice defense coming up from MIPH.
Just keeps costing them a lot of heroes coming in. Ken has to show up to give some damage, give a little bit of minus armor with a Blightstone and the meld. In comparison, Belt's just allowed to AFK farm right now. He's playing down bot, he's getting the build up he needs on that Terrorblade. The Manta style, it's almost done. Into the Scotty he will go. And once you hit that Manta Scotty timing, we've seen this multiple times before, Mike, the Terrorblade becomes pretty hard to burst down, even with your combination of Ancient Seal, Mystic Flare onto one, with the early Veil up and Lucify. It's gonna take some commitment to kill off Bell. And I think as long as Bell doesn't overextend and uses his Manta timing well enough to dispel the silence, you're still happy. You get another shove down mid, they've got the Exo up, they've got the threat of Golem here on the side of Neon. The team fight, it's gonna look a bit tight for MIPH. They did just commit that Epicenter earlier on.
Yeah, they're probably a bit screwed here with this mid-tier 1 tower. Not much in the way of defending it, so this time around they'll leave it be. Instead they'll go after the top tier 1 tower. They should be able to get that just fine. The Neon, they are certainly coming out with the better end of the trade here for this mid-tier 1. You see, this is quite detrimental if you've got a TA on your team as well, because, well, now Ken, he might struggle to find any form of farm in the jungle. At least on the Radiant end of things, as Neon start heading down towards the bottom side of the map, trying to maybe find Rupido or Lucify, and see, would prefer the Sanking if they could afford to. Matter of whether they make their way over as a team, and it seems like Chuan's the only one really walking down. In fact, Bell already hanging around there, maybe trying to bait for the side of Neon. Rupido and Lucify, they are around if they wanted to try and make the jump in on the TB, but Bell, he does back himself out. And so nothing's going to come out of this bot lane, just no kills being attempted. I think Neon, they're more than comfortable with the way this game's been going anyway. You've got a TBDP on your side, so you don't need to play this mid-game very aggressively either. You could just kind of farm up and trust that you will eventually just outscale the TA anyway.
Yeah, I think the one concern coming out for Neon is that MIPH's wards are allowing them to still work the map well. They've had good vision on Se in that mid lane for a long time with that ramp ward on the river side, and they have a good defensive ward here right by their outpost on the cliff. And it just means Neon's clump up isn't amounting to as much, whereas for MIPH, they are still keeping up almost with Ken. They're starting to get into the point where the DK is going to be a problem. Midas already up into BKB next, so relying more on Rupido to come in and wanting that DK to scale along for MIPH's side. Neon will go for another smoke play. Again, we haven't seen any golem drop yet, and Chuan still has the hook. He needs to find the angle here.
And he does. And of course, they want the TA, but Tihi is around to try and guard as Chuan is going to see the tree in. Instead, they are going to go after him. Tihi will be very happy with that. Kill himself off, but he protects the TA, and Chuan, a little bit unfortunate there, just barely missing out, and now we'll realize Ken is actually here, but has no way to close the gap to be able to lock him down. So Ken should be just fine to survive, and again, it is rather unfortunate there for Neil.
They dropped the ward where there was a sentry ops, so MIPH sees that on the map. Ken backs off, he knows he's got to sacrifice, and they save the bigger target. Like, the wards from MIPH's game have just been on point. They know where Neon's moving around. Neon's not able to find openings. You're still farming on Bell, but you're not really keeping this TA down. Within 500 gold, not a massive lead for Bell. TA is still in a very good point where you're going to hit that Desolator, you're going to hit the BKB, and you're going to feel pretty darn good to match up against the Terrorblade anyway. BKB for Bell, it's still a ways off after the Scotty, and the Scotty's not that closely done yet. So there's still some good timings for MIPH, keeping the game fairly close, 2-6 in the kill board, but less than 1k lead for Neon. You mentioned it, they've got the DP. In some ways, they do scale really well with the TB, Terrorblade, and the Timbersaw, but it does feel like their timings are lining up closer to this point now. Like, within 5 minutes, it feels like they hit their spike, their peak, and that's the point where you really want to really shrink down this map from the side of MIPH.
Jeez, I didn't realize how slow this game had gone, John. 2-6. You just kind of said it, and I was like, wow. Only 8 kills in 17 minutes, but that is how this kind of game goes. This is why you and I really did not like the TB-DP meta at all. So it's very, very slow to play. Ken, doing exactly what you mentioned, John. Just keep that farm going, trying to hit that spike, and even find himself a nice Grove bow there on the TA, which always helps when you're trying to go for those long-range meld strikes. Now with the BKB up though, on Avatar mode, you might want to group up and go again as Neon. For now, they are grouped up as 3, heading towards the top side of the map, but again, the vision is still down here from MIPH. Chuan, almost finding Ken, but not quite. They'll get some D wards off while they're there. But Ken on the TA, he's going to be just fine. Back into the triangle he goes, and Neon, it seems like they want to keep trying, but it's very obvious where they're headed.
Yeah, they're just constantly read like a book here. They do spot out the DD at the very least for Avatar mode to bottle up. They could try for Roshan, but doesn't feel safe without the pickoff. And you still have good counterplay coming through, potentially with Rupido's Blink threat. They will still clump around. There is a trap here from Ken to keep watch. It does look like that's the objective we'll play for, and this is risky. The Sentry Ward dropped by Chuan is not catching that TA trap. The MIPH has full vision, and they don't know about it on Neon's end.
That is unfortunate, to say the least, but it doesn't seem like it's going to matter anyway. MIPH not grouping up, not trying to steal this one. They just have a laugh to themselves. Roshan is going to get taken for free. Instead, they got a bottom tier 1 tower while that was happening, but it's a pretty rough affair here for MIPH, even with a slight net worth lead. Seems like so much has been given back the way of Neon, and we're now for Neon. They can group up once again. Maybe wait out the Exorcism to be back off cooldown here for Avatar mode, but with the Aegis up, you are certainly feeling very confident. MIPH, in a couple minutes, they'll be back in defensive mode, and well, at least Ken does have the Deso up now, so there's plenty of damage available on the Templar Assassin, but without a BKB up, it's still going to be rough to force a fight.
Yeah, you're still not very comfy on the TA to just join in yet. You do have that BKB already up on GG, but no way of gap closing. Teehee.
Well, hook was off the mark. Teehee's still going to be chased down, but they don't actually get him. Henry trying to move forward, but can't lock him down either. So instead, it's back towards the top tier 2 tower, but again, with the living armor being placed on, it's too much armor to play with. No exorcism up, so Neon, they're not going to stick around. MIPH, they'll just farm the rest of the map, and this is fine for them.
They're getting the lead back their way. 2K, 1K going their side. Ken starting to become a bigger and bigger issue. JG, as this game goes on, his Midas starts to pay off more and more. You know, you get your money's worth as the game drags on with that Midas the earlier you pick it up. So he's not really being punished for going for such a greedy build. Now, you know, not giving his team initiation, still solely relying on the Sand King, but they haven't really been playing around Rupido's Blink Force Staff anyway, so you don't really mind too much in MIPH. For Neon, the big concern here is, yeah, Belt's gonna scale. At some point, the Timbersaw doesn't. Like, out of all your cores, the Timbersaw is probably the one that doesn't have much presence going on. And
If he set up, big jump in, Rupido, they've blown up the TV already. Oh, and Enryu's gone for the first time. See if they can find him a second as Bell. Well, he's going to try and back his way out, but JG's on the chase with the stun out, though Juan is going to make the jump in. There's your golem drop out as well. Look at the side blades. Juan, he's going to melt. Bell still trying to fight. There goes JG on the DK, but now Rupido right back in onto the Terrorblade, and Kent's got him. Big team fight from MIPH. And for Neon, it's not going to be a good feeling for them. They've got to back their way out, but they have been completely outplayed here in the mid lane. And MIPH, it's going to buy them even more time to catch their way up.
yeah, I mean, they've already eclipsed the side of Neon. 2K lead holding steady now. Both Ken and JG above Bell in that worth. Avatar mode and enemy kind of lagging behind. They're still ahead of Rupido, but it's not really the point you want. Right now, Rupido is more like the sacrificial pawn. He's the initiation for the team. He's willing to throw his body forward. Once he gets Epicenter Burrow Strike out, you're pretty happy. And now you reach this boiling point. Ken, he's got the BKB up on the TA. He feels very comfy in the front lines. You still have the hook shot that can pierce through. The golem drop, which is on a longer cooldown, that can still maybe get some control on Ken if he's not careful. But everything else disappears. The presence of your Timbersaw dissipates here. The presence of your DP also dissipates, and it feels like a very good time for Ken now with the itemization he has gone for. MIPH will go for a Smoke as 4, knowing that the golem's down. Not too much counterfight in the side of Neon here.
Certainly not. Rip it out. A great job last game, rather the last team fight around. We'll see if he can do it again. Is it just me, or is the... In fact, hold that thought, because they are about to smoke up and go for a fight here down bot. Neon. Maybe not expecting this, as it's a long wraparound through the bot lane here from MIPH. Ward's placed down. Neon still don't know. Rupido, well, now they do know. They're under vision. Hook shot off the mark there from Juan. JG will go for the stun out onto the timber, but they've got the tank locked down for now as Rupido is still trying to get away and get that epicenter off. They will chase him down, however. Not leaving this man alone, they'll take him out. Down towards the south once again, JG and Ken on the run themselves. They could not deal with Bell. Terrorblade going to be just fine, and they lose the Sand King on MIPH. That seems to be about it though. Neon, they'll group back up down towards the bot lane. They have Exorcism back up in 5, so they can go for a tier 2 bot tower push.
Yeah, been very patient as well with Belts. Terrorblade not popping the Metamorphosis in that jump. And just a good ward this time around from Neon, popping that, seeing that smoke fade inside of MIPH because they took such a long route down the bot, giving them that opportunity. I'm curious, Mike. What were you about to ask? You said something was acting up. What's up?
Oh, right, yeah. So if you look at the Sand King, well, he's dead. But once he's back up, John, he's got the shards up. But I can't see the visual of the epicenter pulse going on as he walks. And I thought it changed for a second. I was like, wait. So you can see it.
Yeah, it's one of those bugs. You know, I've been having a couple of weird stuff when I play Dota. Sometimes textures go missing, so I can't see my talent tree sometimes. I can't see my skills sometimes. I'm flabbergasted at what happens. I think at one point my friend said he couldn't see his talents and ended up skilling something really bad at level 1. So that was fun. It's one of those things. Beta game, like free game. No complaints.
Somebody's gonna call Jeff, John. Get Jeff on the case. He'll get it done. Rupido. Moving in, mid lane. Enryu. But Lotus up, so instead they're gonna jump the Warlock. Say, he's gone. Very, very quickly there to Ken. Mind you, now with the BKB up on Ken, he's not concerned whatsoever to force a fight. Neon, they still have their ultis up, but be a bit of a rough one for them if they're not too careful. MIPH finally hitting that power spike with their draft, and well, props to Ken John. He's been farming very patiently this whole game, and well, now I can see it. There's the shot. It disappeared again. I saw it once. Oh, there it is again.
There you go.
All right, it's working.
Yeah, sometimes the hero just needs to die for the particle effects to kick back in. Defense up top, as you mentioned, Ken. BKB at the ready, no threat of golem drop. Feels safe enough to just take a tier 2, back off, equalizing the map a bit. They can't quite go for the outpost capture. Not the safest spot right now for MIPH, and Neon will group up for a smoke, but the side of MIPH have already gone on a hard retreat, TPing a couple of heroes out. Maybe punish some of the stragglers here.
Perhaps. Neon trying to catch somebody out. Chuan, obviously, with that level 1 hook shot, should be able to reach somebody, but nobody around here from MIPH to catch out, apart from maybe the mid lane where Rupido is within that sandstorm. Chuan does have a dust up, but there is going to be a quick blink away from our Sand King. Everything is just fine. Neon still having a look around. We'll try to pressure the mid-tier 2 tower now. Rupido does reveal himself. Chuan is going to go for the hook shot in. It's a great way to start this team fight. They do lose Chuan, but they are going to find Rupido. A great trade for Neon now. They'll find the tier 2 mid tower, no problem as well, it seems. They do still have that DP ulti up if they want to commit. But they might just save it for the next Roshan fight instead.
They could just play patiently here. They take out 2 out of the 3 outer towers, so only 1 left here for MIPH to hold onto. I think the one thing for MIPH is that we're seeing pretty much 2 cores play a bit greedier. Right? Even GAG's just been farming up this entire time, still keeping up quite well with Belt's net worth. And he's not been taking activity for the team, opting to split push. No Blink, has the Shadow Blade for escape, but they've got detection here.
JG caught out. Nice 4-star 5 from Chuan. JG, they're going to BKB up in front of him. He's getting something for his trouble. Overgrowth is there, and even the Golem going to be dropped onto JG. Just to make sure they can kill off this DK eventually, and they will. It's a great pick-off onto JG. A fair bit of commitment there from our Warlock, but I think Neon, they'll still be okay with them. Meanwhile, Rupido, epicenter, is charged up, so Chuan will eventually get taken down, but Neon now, knowing the epi is down, might want to fight. Problem is they do lose Say as well. The buyback was committed by Chuan, but he's not going to make it in time to get anything done. His TP was on cooldown.
Yeah, they kind of get punished for just clumping up, not respecting Rupido's positioning there. Didn't really have vision over the Sand King anyway. Get a good jump in from MIPH's end. They are only finding supports, so Neon still feel better with the trades, taking off JG earlier on. Might still be able to find more if Rupido overextends, but just playing the Sandstorm. Roche in less than a minute, so big timings for both sides to kind of clump around. You should have their full roster by then for that Roche fight, and they still have the ward vision, or at least a trap vision out from Ken here, so still fully aware on MIPH. Probably should be able to see that first one with Chuan.
Yeah, that'll be a tie back to Chuan. Terrible timing as well, John. He's down for 70 seconds and Roshan's up in 30. So you're going to have a bit of a window here where the clockwork's just not going to be up to give that rocket flare vision. And MIPH, they'll have the advantage going into the Roshan pit if they go straight away as it respawns.
Yeah, they have a huge advantage with 1 man down on Neon for quite a while. Big opportunity for them to start to open up the game more. They are a bit behind on the outer objectives, but still doing a good job of kind of keeping up the farm game. It starts to boil down to pretty much that Terrorblade versus TA matchup. Terrorblade still feels like it has a good time here. You do kind of keep up with the range of the TA, but Ken's just been playing a lot safer than we've seen with Bell. Bell's been caught out. The one time Ken, his activity has paid off to more kill participation, and he will have his full Daedalus up sooner rather than later. And you always have that reliable team fight to come out from the side of MIPH with Overgrowth and Burst Strike Epicenter, whereas for the side of Neon, it does feel like once Golem's down, that's it for your wide control. Like, You can maybe get a good cogs displacement off, but that's like the most you ask for, whereas for MIPH, multiple angles are always present because of your lineup.
Roshan gonna get started by Neon. And you've got Chuan around now, so they feel a lot safer doing this. And for MIPH, it did feel like there was an opening for this. They had the trap down to give them vision to the Roshan pit as well. Roshan seemingly going the way of Neon. MIPH just not around to try and fight. They did buy enough time for the Daedalus to come out on their TA to be fair, but well, now you've given Aegis shots back the way of Neon. So MIPH, they are smoked up. It seems like they want to try and force a fight, but it's a smoke on smoke as Enryu. He's going to have his smoke broken. Rupido will just back out immediately. They do not want this fight. Neon, they're the ones that want to keep the fight going as they get the DK now. JG, constant pushback onto the DK. Battery assault is there as well from Chuan. JG forced the BKB and run. To the north though, they do find Teehee, the Cream Protector. It's Neon, well they've popped everything, but they don't really find much. They only found the Cream Protector.
You're pretty happy here if you're MIPH. You force out the Exorcism at the cost of your BKB. On the DK, this is going to stall out the push timing onto the high ground. JG's still playing here, though.
He's gonna BKB this time, but he has the Shadow Blade. Chuan, that's a very nice Cogs pushback. That was a blind Cogs. JG still running, but now the dust is out. Chuan, do they? Oh, they have a hook shot. It's all right. JG, he's gonna get punished. What a play out from Chuan. That was completely blind shot. The courier just brought out the dust.
Great game sense, and that's why Chuan did win a TI there, Mike. Still a bit curious about JG's movements. He dodges the gank, he goes greedy, tries to clear out the creep wave, gets punished for it. And now the lead's starting to bounce back a little bit to Neon. Still very even in terms of the game, but with these opportunities Neon are being given, with the Aegis being given their way, with these free kills on DK twice in a row now, the high ground starts to feel like it's opening up more for them. They've got that opportunity to pressure on 2 lanes. MIPH don't really have the creep control in their favor for the lanes, except for top, where Ken is just kind of shoving in. And with the Aegis protection on Bell, it should be a very straightforward push onto that high ground. Still back row protection kicking in, but not so long.
Chuan is in. Already Teehee is gone. Another great initiation. Neon. They'll keep going for this tier 3 bottom tower. Rupido is there with the epicenter. He'll channel it up and move in with a great double burrow strike out. They've lost the Aegis. And the Metamorphosis for that matter. Well, does he want to keep going for this? It doesn't seem like it. He'll back off again. Rupido saving the day here for MIPH. It's just that Sand against the TB, John. Just so much magic damage. And even with the BKB up, Bell just cannot get it off in time.
I think it's more down to Lucify's output with the Mystic Flare and that Veil. Ancient Seal on top, very easy to rip through the Terrorblade. 2.9k HP doesn't matter, even with a 33 armor, because you're doing a lot of magic damage out. You don't have anything to protect from that yet, no Pipe of Insight to kind of mitigate some of that, and that does still lead to the opportunity for MIPH to get that defense off. Smoke out from their end this time around. No Epicenter this time, but Burst Strike might just be enough with JG hanging around here as well. Let's see if they find the angle. Neon avoiding very nicely, just playing onto their triangle area, staying in lane. This will allow MIPH to drop some more forward wards, so get some information on top jungle, but can't really find any way of working back the map. You know, they can't go for the tier 2s just yet, or at least the last tier 2 here for the side of Neon. But for Neon, that was an Aegis high ground push. They don't get anything done with it, and kind of goes back to what we've been seeing, right? Maybe now you just wait for next rush once more.
Here we go. Apologies, ladies. I did have to alt tab there for a second. Bit of an emergency, but we're back now as Rupido. Well, let's say is going to go down to the Warlock. Enryu. Go for a run, but Rupido right on the chase. Does have another blink up in a moment. Enryu can have his Lincolns broken, and in they jump onto the Timber. Enryu still in big trouble. Is going to try and chain away. Might just make it out, but Rupido still in the chase of the Sand King, and well, they'll secure the kill. Nice plays out from the Sand King once again. MIPH, they are not out of this game one yet. It's Lucify, he was dying to a TB illusion, but look at this. He's still trying to run away from this damn thing.
Yeah, you're just not a very tanky hero on that Sky Rat Mage. Look at his base armor, Mike. 3 armor, 1.6k HP, 3 armor -2 with the TB running up to him. It's not a particularly amazing feeling.
Nice
You
hook away
find a big
from Juan.
BKB for
They're all gonna pop this BKB. They might just keep going for this, John. Burrow Strike is there on the DP, but Juan, the cogs off to block the way, and MIPH. I wonder if they can get anything out of this. They know that BKB's down for the TB. Just a matter of whether they can actually make their way to the high ground.
Yeah, they need to kind of equalize their lanes. Mid's being shoved in constantly, so someone's got to stay behind. Both supports are kind of in there, or at least Lucify is still playing down mid. So they're not able to really go forward, and that does give Neon the opportunity. Kind of fragmented here from MIPH, even without the BKB. If Bell finds a good angle, they could still find a kill.
JG could be in a spot of danger. Chuan right on the chase. Gem is up on JG, so it's extra value to catch the DK, but the hook shot is off the mark. Still got 4-star in, but the Cog's not going to catch him either. Really unfortunate there for the Clockworkers. The Neon now going to have to go back to the drawing board. And every time these kind of little plays fail, it really does put them behind here, Neon. They might PH. They're still on even terms here with this Neon side. I feel like if they could just pick up an Aegis, even if they're going to get outscaled later on, it does feel like they're still making this game work. They just need a Roshan to go their way.
Just need to be able to take that objective, start to look for that opportunity onto the high ground. Neon still doing a great job of, applying their own pressure, finding what they can. They're building into the point where Bell will have a full Linken's up. So chain stunning him is going to be a tougher prospect. At the very least, they'll block off the big one in the Burrow Strike, and that's going to be enough time to pop your BKB, use your man to the Dispel if need be, and still turn around. For MIPH, I mean, I feel like they've just been a bit too passive. Like, JG's just been playing a farm hero, basically. He's just been farming up in this DK. They've always just playing on the back of Rupido, and that was paying off for a while, but now your DK is starting to lag behind. The Ags is going to come up, so that could be a nice spike for JG down the line with all the durability he has on hand. But you are allowing Neon to also go up. Avatar mode has its own Linken's up along with his Shiva's up, so you can double down on the Linken's on Bell if you need to, protect him even further in the middle of these fights. Of course, the Shivas can also slow down some of that regen coming through, especially from the Green Protector and even the DK's passive. So you have a lot of ways to kind of soften up the side of MIPH here from Neon's end. And we talked about some of these stuns being a bit longer, or, not being as present on the side of Neon. If you think about it this way, Mike, you have 2 stuns that pierce your BKB on the side of Neon. Golem drop and hookshot, whereas for MIPH, their only big counterfight against that BKB usage is Overgrowth, and that's a consistent 100 seconds. So 1 spell versus 2 when the BKBs rise. As long as Seth uses his Chaotic Offering in a well-timed fight, it's always going to be able to turn a little bit easier than it is for the Treant to kind of get an Overgrowth off.
Neon still grouped up in that Radiant Triangle. Meanwhile, MIPH going for a bit of smoke. Pings are out. I feel like the TB illusion saw that. Henryu, he'll frontline. Empty center is there. They'll try to blow up the timber immediately. They've got him. Henryu already gone. Roland has been dropped though, but can they keep fighting? Can. So much damage with the side blades, and now with the Overgrowth out, they are sitting dark. Oh, Avatar mode, he is melting. Again being outplayed here. Neon, they get caught out a second time. Triple kill out for Ken. Rupido, he's done it again, John. He's setting up everything.
Yeah, they managed to get that jump out onto Enryu, forcing that instant response out from Neon, scattering them about. It did look like there was a good angle for the Golem drop and good chains coming through, but the follow-up isn't there. I think right now, your actual combination with Golem is the Timbersaw zipping around, playing with the chains output, but just doesn't come through. And now MIPH have the opportunity for their first rotation. 3 Ags on the deck here. They could just hand it over to Ken to have a psionic projection around the map. Could hand it to TP. I feel like probably Treant's probably one of the better ones if you want more value from the Overgrowth. But Chorus get the privilege, Mike. 3 Ags for Ken. He can be all over the map now. And this is where the game gets a bit funky for Neon. You're dealing with a TA who's going to split push like a madman. High grounds open up. No golem to defend. 2 lives in 10. I don't know if you can really handle that right now.
The damage again. He's got the maxed out Deso as well, so plus 40 damage on the TA. Just on top. Neon. Not going to lose their mid-racks yet. They are 14k behind now, though. Bit of a rough scenario if you are Neon. Again, I mean, we talked about him being outscaled, but now with the 14k net worth advantage, I don't think that so much applies anymore. Neon, I mean, they had a great start to this game 1, but it's really starting to fall apart. Well, we'll see what they can get done about this, but they've really got to control this tank. It just feels like Rupido, he's finding every initiation he wants, and every team fight Neon has won is when this Sand King cannot initiate. But every time he gets the initiation off, they are as good as dead.
I think the big thing is, it's all down because MIPH relies fully on Rupido. No one else can really initiate. Maybe you get a Blink Overgrowth out from Tihi, but your main source is that Blink Burrow Strike because your DK still doesn't have a Blink. Has his own Ags up though, so the Black Dragon form is here for JG. And he's still farming like a madman. Lagging behind in comparison to Bell, but at this point, 4k gold with most slots filled up doesn't really count for too much. On the side of Neon, again, still kind of even on the kill board, 16 to 15, but the 15k lead for MIPH is a cause of concern. The other cores from Neon have been sort of sacked, and we're reaching that point where the scaling is starting to drop off a bit. Enryu, the Timbersaw needs to be positioned perfectly. It needs to be able to use the Lotus Orb well and maybe lock in a hero with a side Vice. Kind of get that opportunity to give themselves that opening. See Ken just kind of pushing down bot. No problems for him. He's got the Swift Blink up. He can just melt through these objectives once he does commit. And he can just TP across the map. Again, Psionic Projection up for the TA. Creep Cutting's in play. He can just join in his team as well with a well-placed fight. And MIPH will smoke around that fast.
Hook shot again off the mark. And he's fine. Rupido, he made the jump in, but this time BKBs were out. Instead, Golem will be dropped to JG. He's still in big trouble with his DK. 4 staff away, but they will chase him down to the end of the earth, so he eats the cheese. Still alive somehow, but they can't save him. He will drop as Neon will find a second. Like I said, John, Sand King can't initiate, you win the team fight. Neon, they'll make this one work.
Just get the jump first. It's a little bit awkward though. The Golem drop was only onto the 1 on JG, so no Golem for the high ground siege. Exorcism still has some time left, so they can try to poke and prod. There's still that opportunity for perhaps Rupido looking for the opportunity with Mystic Flare. They lose their bot here though against their split push.
Yeah, meanwhile, Juan, he jumped in, but does get taken down by Lucifiers. Now the buyback has been committed. JG wants to force the fight and defend. Rupido jumping in again, has Burrow Strike in 1, but won't throw it out yet. In fact, he'll Burrow Strike away. But Bell still being chased down. Will Manta off the concussive shot and will be fine. While all this was happening, John, the tier 3 bottom tower does go down, by the way. We saw the TA just using that Psionic Projection to get it done, and there's not really much Neon could do about it.
And again, they committed to Golem earlier on in that fight. They had no way to stop, say, the BKB of Ken if he didn't just fully commit. So the bot lane is now an open angle for MIPH to take these racks. And for MIPH, yeah, you did drop JG. You didn't manage to find that counter fight. You still stall out the high ground from inside of Neon. You get a little bit of solo high ground action for Ken. And it's just back to having Psionic Projection on your team. You can just play like this with a TA, go all across the map. It's a 10-second cooldown for basically a global trap on a hero that shouldn't have that. Ken might get punished if his PP overextends, but does back off in the nick of time. Playing on edge, you can just look to shift gears towards top, perhaps.
They will. MIPH gonna show up. Chuan, they get caught out here. They do Overgrowth, just looking for an easy pick off, though he does have the Ghost Scepter, but it's not gonna make a difference. Chuan is gonna die. Ken picking up his 10th kill of the game now. In fact, Enryu, he jumped in. Uh-oh. Save your buddy syndrome kicking in there for Enryu, and that's going to be a freebie for MIPH.
Yeah, no buybacks on those two heroes either. They do lose the Aegis. It does expire here on Ken. So no secondary life to play with, but this is still a massive oath. You could look to force the issue, go for another set of tier 3s, go for the mega creeps almost if they find a good angle here. Golem drop will be up shortly from Cez, so there's some counterfight available for Neon.
Yeah, JG. Mid tier 3 tower going to be in trouble as Ken will move in. Avatar mode. Ghost Scepter himself will save his own life. Mid-Rax does not have a Ghost Scepter. Ken will have his way with it as they move into the bot racks now. Well, it is still TA, John. Doesn't matter what time of the game it is, TA still rips through the structures. Ken, gonna be no exception on that Templar Assassin as he will just get it done. Mid lane though, there is a jump in onto the DP, but they will not be able to hold her down. They got 2 Raxes though. More than you can ask for here for MIPH as well. They'll try and fight the TA, but refraction's up. Just blink right out, no problem. They do leave a range Rax, but who the hell cares about that? MIPH on track to find a 3rd Rax to go into Megas. The Neon Esports again, John, they had such a great start, but it seems like once they hit the mid game and the late game, they just start to kind of fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, they find a couple of good angles, but other times it just boils down to being forced to golem a little bit early, not having the follow-up control for a wider fight, and MIPH just being confident in their own control. They know they've got a lot of angles in with the Sand King and Treant. They know they've got good scaling out with Ken and even JG because he's played so good this game is paying off. And for Neon, it's just reaching that point where it's all about the Terrorblade. Your DP, your Timbersaw don't have the biggest presence anymore. It's just by nature of these heroes being a little bit more tempo-based. I mean, Avatar mode could still go a little bit further. It does still have his level 25 talent to come in. Could maybe try to opt for the Hex and try to get some control in the middle, but all the damage output, all the scariness of these team fights from Neon is pouring out from Bell. So we'll have to see if he can hold this angle well. He does have the refresh along with Lincoln's, and his own Daedalus up, so the TB is it's really well farmed, even though he is about 12k behind Ken's net worth on the TA. So let's see what Neon can do to hold on. Again, their high ground hold, the threat of Golem should be enough to keep MIPH behind. But they have complete control of the map now, right? They can just keep farming where they want. They can wait out this next Roshan. It's going to have everything on the deck. Free Ags for Lucify sounds big, and a free refresh for something like, say, Tihi or Rupido would be massive as well. So that's not an objective Neon can allow it to freely fall. We'll see if they'll be able to walk outside their base and kind of contest that when it is up in a minute and a half.
See what they can get done. The Neon still hanging around that high ground, just getting ready for the defense. MIPH, I mean, really just waiting for the Roshan to be up. It's gonna be a 5-man smoke though. Neon, they're gonna try and force the fight early on. Ag's up on Chuan as well, so you've got the rearm available basically off the clockwork. Breaks the smoke. Ken, he's a big target. Enryu jumping forward. They're not making the angle for Chuan yet. Chuan now has it available, but Ken is perfectly fine as Neon. They will not make the jump.
Yep. Miss out on that opportunity. Another smoke bought out here by Seth. Maybe still looking to force it in. They're starting to play under vision. So there is information here for MIPH, and they will maybe start to clump around. They're still playing on that low ground of the jungle. They've got a good ward to spot if someone does pull a bit too forward here.
Still very patient here from both sides. Divine Rapier now up on Ken.
Jeez.
But did he say, is he bringing it out? He is. He's bringing it out. He wants it right now, and he's got it. No coming back this time. Ken, double damage rune active as well, John. It's a lot of damage. Avatar, and it goes Scepter up, and he'll be okay. Chuan, he's the real target. He is already gone. No buyback available. The clockwork is now the overgrowth comes right through. They are sitting ducks. Burrow strike in. Bell in trouble. Golem drop is out, but connects on nothing. JG. He's going to back out of the Dragon Knight. In comes the TA once again as Bell dropping way too fast, trying to back out, but Rubido is in on the Sand King. They've got the TV down. No buyback available. Still Ken trying to fight, but in goes Avatar mode with the Hex out. Maybe they can have the damage, but Ken He's gonna BKB out. He'll be just fine for now. Meanwhile, Say still being chased down here by Rupido. This Ken. He'll TP out, no problem. Neon. It's a 2v4, but they are still fighting. Rupido, nice Burrow Strike. Ken. He's back in now. Sight the Vice out on the Death Prophet. Avatar though, the Ghost Scepter. Still keeping him alive. But Rupido's brought back. Avatar mode's in trouble. He's out of the Ghost Scepter now and he is down. Buyback committed immediately. 2v4. If you commit the buyback on Say as well. And Twan is about to be up on the clockwork. But it's still an advantageous position for MIPH. And again, with the Divine Rapier up, you should have no problem moving into that T3 tower. That's alright.
And playing tag, goes up to save once more, but not going to save these objectives. They should just be falling. Mega creeps coming up. 20 seconds till Belt's back up, so there's a little bit of a hold here. Let's see if they manage to work some magic, but MIPH now in a very comfy position, just the one range racks that they aren't fully committing for, so they'll allow Neon to just play against Super Troops for now, as Roshan is up. Again, full complement of everything inside at Rosh. Secondary left for Ken, gonna feel big in saving that Divine Rapier. Of course, the 3 axe upgrade would be nice as well, but Rupido takes it as well. It's like, alright, don't pass it on to Lucify for the double Ancient Seal, double everything. I suppose Caustic on Hero's Hit is nice, and the longer range is good for Rupido. There you go.
Huge range. On to Twan they go, and who cares about the Scarlet? Look at that. Lucifer is holding 2 gems right now. He hands one over.
True. I mean, he needs 2 gems for 2 eyes, right? He's got 2 eyes, right? You need 2 boots for 2 legs, you know?
Well, he's got no eyes now, John. He's blind. Not very nice at all.
He is. He still has to buy sentries too. He has sentries even though they have the gem. Like, yeah, this is my life. He does have the gold for the outright buy on the Ags. So I guess all's well that ends well here, as they will start to shove in for the last set of racks. Neon, golden 5.
Trying to defend, but against the Black Dragon, it's very, very challenging. Just goes down after a couple hits. And Neon, they want to defend, and MIPH, they want to play it safe.
Trick of the trade.
I guess it kind of goes back to the Divine Rapier now. You just don't want to throw back the way of Neon. Hookshot goes one. They'll go for the fight straight away. There's another hookshot onto the TA. They've got him locked down, but the Golem is dropped as well. It's with a negative scepter. The 2 Golems available for Neon, but is it going to matter? Not quite. They melt. Golems are gone. Neon still trying to back off, but now MIPH. They can go for the jugular. Ken though backs off a bit early. Doesn't finish off Avatar mode. They're trying to Enryu instead, but he's going to be just fine to back himself out. MIPH.
Found
They want to go for the finish.
Yeah, no golem to protect. Lots of time left on Metamorphosis. It's a bit tough for Neon to kind of hold this one, but again, still holding on.
They go, Fire Strike again from Rupido onto Enryu as well. Going to copy his BKB a bit early on. Trying to go right after the TA, but Ken is fine to fight back. They do go right after the Timber. Avatar still moving in. They do refresh on the Terrorblade. MIPH actually backing their way out, and they might just reset and go back in. There's your Burrow Strike, there's your Epicent. I'm back on the Timber, but Enryu's still fine. Neon. They have successfully defended somewhat this Mega Creep, and well, MIPH, they're gonna back off and reset.
Ken backed off a little bit early there. Didn't want to give it that opportunity for out. So MIPH again just playing safe. They know they've got a huge advantage. They know this is a tough defense left for Neon. Happy def, as you would say in the alt chat right now. Neon, this is going to give them an opportunity to wait out the next chaotic offering drop. Metamorphosis already starting to tick away. No Ags up or such on our TB, so Bell doesn't have any secondary Metamorphosis to kind of hang around with, providing MIPH still with an advantage despite losing that Aegis earlier on. And you're still 39k. 54 minutes in. I don't think we're going to see those tier 5s, Mike, because the smoke will come out here from MIPH.
Indeed, MIPH looking to try to move in. Through the bot lane they go. Strike. There it is. Rupido setting up again. This is clear though. Won't do much thanks to all the 4-stars available there. They're going to try one last time. Clutch. Hitting with the double cogs. Bell dropping way too low. Does get a thunder off onto JG, but he's still not going down. JG finally dies. But so does Bell as he will buy back now. They even found Chuan, but more buybacks to come from Neon. Do they want to keep the fight going? MIPH onto Enryu, almost bursting him down alone with the TA. Not quite enough yet. Exorcism, I mean, it's going to wear off very, very soon here for Avatar, and right after that, you can just move in again. Jump in, fire strike out, onto the clockwork will mean he's gone. One down for a second time. Now even a refresher orb up on the TA, so you're gonna have double BKB available. He'll refresh immediately. Onto the tier 4s they go. Ken Rupido in once again onto Enryu. He's in big trouble. The Timber 4-staffing away. Tier 4 towers though are gone. The Ancient is gonna be exposed as well. Ken gets the golems dropped on him, but doesn't really care about it as Rupido is back in again on the Sand King. Enryu though surviving, but Ken moves in, takes him out. Bell, a triple kill out for the TA. They call it. Does he get a rampage though? Ultra out. Enryu the last survivor, but doesn't want to give it over. Melt strike in. Lucify takes it. Ken gives the tip over. MIPH make a comeback for game number 1, and for Neon John, it's a bit of a rough game 1. They had the advantage. It looked like the game should have just gone their way, and well, a couple of messed up initiations and a couple of great initiations there from Rupido, and suddenly it goes back their way.
I wouldn't say Neon were in the lead at all in that game. It was within like 2k gold for a very long time. Yeah, they didn't pull ahead. They didn't push those objectives fast enough on the side of Neon with their DP and terribly. We talked about the timings they had to meet. Say Ayasha timing from the TB early into the mid tower take with Exorcism. Instead it was MIPH that were finding side lanes a little bit faster. They managed to play greedier on this Dragon Knight, and they didn't punish JG for going for Midas without Blink. Like you mentioned it, for a lot of those times for MIPH, Rupido was the key initiation. And when they found that Sand King, every time the fights for MIPH would get a little bit more awkward, but they didn't do that early enough. And JG was allowed to farm just as much as Ken was. If you look at the graphs in the game here, both of those players were within the same gold for a very long time. And, you know, Bell was keeping up with the TA more, but Ken wasn't, JG wasn't too far behind. It was a super greedy DK that just scaled into the late game along with that TA. And Neon just allowed it to happen. I think with this kind of lineup, momentum or more, you know, more objective-oriented gameplay was required. They did find that opportunity to start to poke onto the high ground a bit, but MIPH were still working the map well enough to keep up.
All right. Well, with that, John, we are going to have to head off to a short break, and right after that break, we'll be back with Game 2's draft between MIPH and, of course, Neon Esports. We'll see you there.